That's the common thing that they always do. They always mention Carthage and the Carthaginians sacrificing their babies to the deities of, actually it's the deities of Haman and Tanit. But if you read it in these scriptures, it's Moloch or MLK. You know what I mean? Which could be a deity, but there's no evidence proving that it's a deity, or it could be a ritual that was taking place. And it goes even deeper because not only could it possibly be a ritual, but the babies might be stillborn if it did take place. They could have been stillborn, already dead babies that were sacrificed. Um, and the reason why I want to mention that is because I want to go back to Baal Haman, okay, and kind of describe a little bit about how he was as a deity, and then Tanit. Now, Baal Haman was a complex and powerful god. He was deeply tied to fire, fertility, and divine rulership. Now, his role in Carthaginian society, particularly in rituals and offers, made him one of the most significant deities in the Western Mediterranean. His legacy persisted through syncretism with Kronos and Saturn, and elements of his worship may have influenced later religious traditions in North Africa. Now, Tanit was the principal goddess of Carthage. This deity was revered as a sky deity, protector of the city, and symbol of fertility and motherhood. She was the consort of Baal Haman, the chief Carthaginian god, and was widely venerated across the Western Mediterranean, particularly in North Africa, Sardinia, and Spain. Now, the origin of Tanit's names are unclear, but some scholars link it to Phoenician, Berber, and Semitic roots. Some interpretations suggest that Tanis means serpent lady or great one in Phoenician. Others propose a connection to Berber and Punic fertility cults, indicating that she may have evolved from a pre-Phoenician goddess in North Africa. Now, she was associated with birth, motherhood, and renewal, often depicted as a protector of children and women. Okay, so that to me kind of goes against this whole idea that people are taking live babies and sacrificing them to a deity. Now you also have to realize the difference in time, like our time period compared to theirs is like day and night. So you need to understand that this is a society that would probably see it as something divine if their dead child who died at childbirth was used in a ritual. It would probably um, help mothers during that time period. If any mothers today actually had to go through that situation, they know how traumatic that is for them. So that's something that would be constant even back then. So seeing a mother offering her dead stillborn child to their deity, the one they believe in, would actually make sense in my mind. Um, that would make more sense than to offer a living child to a deity so that you could have favor with your God. It's pretty that's pretty horrible, you know. Um, that's just my take on it. But like I said, you know, she was uh, depicted as a protector of children and women. Okay. In Carthage, she was venerated as the city's divine protector, ensuring its safety in times of war. She was linked to the moon, stars, and heavens, reinforcing her role as a guide and protector. In some contexts, Tanit was connected to death and the afterlife. particularly in her Punic and North African cults. Tanit's most recognizable symbol is the Tanit sign, which appears throughout Carthaginian religious sites. A stylized figure with a triangular body, outstretched arms, and a circular head, often interpreted as a female form, a symbol of the divine feminine, or a celestial sign. Found on temples, stelae, and sacrificial tofits, reinforcing her prominence in Punic religious life. Now, Tanit was regarded as the consort of Baal-Hammon, which I had just said, the supreme Carthaginian deity. So that breaks it down on those two. Now, when I say limited, I mean there is no direct archaeological evidence, such as an inscription or physical remains, explicitly stating that the Moabites under King Mesha practiced child sacrifice to Chemosh, which is described in 2 Kings 3:27. Okay, now they'll try to tell you all the stuff I said about Carthage and everything, but you have to understand that's all circumstantial, and it's also drawn off of contextual evidence, and that's only to suggest that these practices were plausible. Okay, so you need to understand that before I go into the archaeological evidence that does exist. Now, the Mesha stele is indirect evidence, okay, and that was discovered in like 1868, dating to the 9th century BCE, and it was written by King Mesha of Moab. It credits Chemosh for Moab's victory. Now, it does not mention human sacrifice at all, but it does describe how Mesha devoted cities to Chemosh. Okay, a term that often refers to like complete destruction or offering an entire city to a deity. Now, that supports the idea that Moabites practiced extreme religious devotion, which could have included human sacrifices. Now, the reference to this I can also post if you guys want to check that out. There's actually two of them that I can do. I'll pop those into the chat, so if you guys want to check those out, you can check those out too, because like I said, this is the last time I will be discussing this topic. So if you guys want to check this out yourself, you are more than welcome to check it out. Feel free to, but it's just not going to happen with me anymore. just to be serious, it's just not going to. I'm sick of all of this stuff. So, matter of fact, I should probably be careful about making these posts on Twitch in the chat. I've been real cautious about doing them on the video part, but I could be messing up on the whole thing when it comes to. So with that being said, I've put out those on there. Now, again, what they do, on this subject is they always go back to the Carthaginian Tophids, and they talk about evidence from Carthage of Semitic child sacrifice. This is their theme. This is what they do, and they use the Mesha Stele to push that there's a possibility of religious devotion. And the whole thing about this stele, it gets really deep into another topic that is very, very controversial. And this also does include not only the Moabites, but like Jewish practices when it comes to battle and destroying entire towns, because it's supposed to be a ritual sacrifice to not just the Moabite deities, but even the Jewish practice it themselves. So that gets into a whole new area of topic that doesn't have anything to do with child sacrifice, but that's something that we could talk about. But like I said, they always fall back to Carthage, and they start talking about the excavations in Carthage, which uncovered the Tophids burial sites. And these had urns filled with cremated infant remains. They always do it. Okay. Now, they'll also bring up the idea that these sites mention Baal-Hamon and Tanit. They have MLK on it, but they never have anything that says specifically Molk, okay, or Moloch, which actually they do have Molk, which is MLK, but they never say Moloch. And Molk, honestly, they don't know for sure if it's actually a deity or if it's a ritual. So, and then I've been beating everybody's brow on this stream about that, repeating it a lot, so it's kind of getting annoying. I apologize. Now, they don't have anything that connects the Moabites. All they say is the Moabites were culturally and religiously connected to groups like the Carthaginians, which make it plausible. Now, the reason why this evidence is so limited is there's no physical evidence like bones and inscriptions that explicitly confirms Moabite child sacrifice. The Mishi Stele confirms Qamesh's worship, but it doesn't mention child sacrifice directly. The closest hard evidence comes from Phoenician Carthage, okay, which they always do. And I mentioned that. I'm going to leave it alone. Now, strong circumstantial evidence is what they refer to it as with this Misha Stele. Then they also say with the Misha Stele and the Phoenicia Tophids together, they suggest Moabites may have practiced child sacrifice, even though there's no archaeological evidence that confirms it whatsoever. The only thing they go off of is the Bible's account of King Misha's sacrifice, which is in 2 Kings 3:27, and that remains unverified archaeologically. The only reason why they say that it's good is because it fits within regional religious customs.